All right, welcome to Bet99's The Parleh Show. Rob Conway in Toronto, joined as always by my co-host Albert Vartanian. It is a busy July 20th, Thursday. We got the Open Championship underway at Hoy Lake, Royal Liverpool. We have the Women's World Cup kicked off early this morning, late last night, depending on where you live. We got the Blue Jays struggling right now against the San Diego Padres, among other MLB stories, and some NFL talk as well. Sean McCormick will be joining us. But right out of the gate, what are you feeling so far about the Open Championship?
Well, listen, I didn't bet Christos Lamprecht to be first-round leader at the moment. He finished 5 under, 66 amateur at the Open. Fairway Jesus tied with him, -5. Tommy Fleetwood, but I didn't get to watch much of the Open.
No, me neither.
Here, I don't know what's going on. It's not on TV.
That's wild.
I'm scouring the apps. I got TSN where the PGA is usually on. There's nothing there.
It's not on like golf, the Golf Channel. No,
I haven't seen anything.
Wow.
Yeah, which is strange.
It's only the Open Championship.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to this weekend, there'll be a ton of coverage.
Barracuda will be on, though, later today.
The Barracuda, yeah. My Padraig Harrington, first-round leaders, no bueno. So there's that.
Yeah, Padraig Harrington was your first. You could add Stewie Sink.
Yeah, Stewie Sink.
Former champion. One of the craziest Open Championships you'll ever see when he took down Tom Watson in a playoff.
Yeah.
Tom Watson was like 59 years old. Had an 8-footer to win the Open Championship. This is why I think Tiger still has a major in him.
He might have one.
Yeah, because Darren Clark's won this one. Greg Norman almost won. Tom Watson almost won. Over 50, both of those guys. So, yeah, he might have one.
Great story here with Wyndham Clark. He finished 3 under, T4, U.S. Open winner. So kind of going under the radar heading into the Open.
Top lefty, Brian Harman.
Did you bet that?
No.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, that's what a hell of a bet.
Phil Mickelson.
Yeah.
He would have been the
he's on the course
Bubba's
right now. I think they're through
there.
like 4 or 5, but Mickelson's on the course.
Yeah, okay. Jordan Spieth, 2 under. Max Homa, 2 under. Patrick Reed, 1 under par. Cantley, 1 under par. And Koepka, 1 under par. You were wondering whether or not Cantley and his slow play would affect Koepka. I guess.
They all shot 1 under.
Yeah,
Matsuyama, Cantley, and Koepka all shot 1 under.
Did we watch that? It sounds like maybe they signed their cards before they played.
I still absolutely believe that's a pure PGA troll job putting Koepka with Cantley. And Matsuyama, 2 of the slowest players on the tour.
100%. 100%. They're like, what? First of all, it's great that they do that because they have control over the stuff. And for years, everyone wanted to see Tiger and Phil play when they were both in their primes. They never put them together. They had to be together by accident based on score on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
And now they're doing it. Now they're just like, you know what? Let's put them together.
Yeah.
Let's have a time. You might as well.
It's entertainment. Let's see it, PGA.
It's sports.
PGA
sports
Live.
Supposed to be
even the PGA vs Live guys, like that's kind of, that beef has died down quite a bit.
It has to be, yeah.
Yeah. Rory and Brooks are buddies.
I know.
Everyone likes Bryson again. That's all good.
Yeah.
Everyone still hates Patrick Reed, though.
I know, but no one in particular
That's the one
does.
constant, though,
yeah,
right?
no one in particular doesn't. Like, it's just the general kind of feel.
Right.
Speaking of which, Barney usually joins us on Thursdays to co-host the show, but he was planning on doing it, but we decided to send him out onto the course. Now, he's not in Hoy Lake doing a live broadcast, but he is in Ottawa at Eagle Creek, where his buddy Chris Nalen is on the golf course. And do we have Barney live from the golf course? We do have him. Matthew Barnaby, how are you, my man?
Golf Insider, yes. Golf Insider. Yeah, it's awesome. The course is in great shape. It hasn't been in great shape here in Ottawa the last few years, but they got it rolling really well for the Canadian Tour. And my buddy Chris Nalen, who's played in multiple U.S. Opens, was a Decker college golf era, and a good buddy. Last 25 years, I met him. I actually billeted him when he was an amateur playing in the Porter Cup in Niagara Falls, and he I remember like Gretz was a use the word Gretz. Sorry, Chris. But Gretz knew him through an agency and said, hey, he's going to be up in Matthew's neck of the woods. He's in mind hosting him to save him some money. And he came, played golf, finished like second in the Porter Cup. And for like a month, he had so much fun with all the guys our time in Buffalo. So on the course, he's an agent now. And we're following one of his clients around Sam we played golf with yesterday. He is currently open round through 10 holes, 5 under par. Not a bad player.
That's not bad. 5 under through 10. I can honestly say I don't know what that feels like.
Really? I find that hard to believe coming from a scratch golfer. But.
Yeah, no. Although I was almost at 4 under through 9 when I played with Barney. The first time I ever played with him, I did. I think I shot like 6 over on the back though, so it didn't really matter.
There's a kid here. His name is Chase. He's literally like an Instagram model. His girlfriend is a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. Went to Arizona, who Chris coached. He hits it further. Hits it further than Rory.
Wow.
He flies it.
Well,
Crazy.
Barney, have you got? We're gonna have the parlay. We'll let you go here because we're gonna get back to walking around with Chris and watching his client. But quickly, we got 90 seconds. What's your pick for the parlay? I got a guess what it's gonna be.
You think it's going to be the Jays? Well, I'm going with the Padres. They're the team I'm sticking with. I'm really just focusing on the Jays right now with all my picks and what I've done. Jays were really good to me and bad to me. Padres favorite in this. Going Padres for the parlay.
You want the Padres?
Because, yeah.
Okay.
I'm on Padres today. Yep.
All right, Padres for the sweep. All right, Barney, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Enjoy the weather there in Ottawa at Eagle Creek. Good luck to the guy you're following, Sam, and hope he plays well. I mean, he's already 5 under, so that's not too shabby. We'll talk to you soon, Bart.
All right. Cheers, buddy.
All right, Matthew Barnaby, there he goes, enjoying his day at Eagle Creek. So, Padres, what the hell?
I thought he was going Blue Jays all the way. I think that's the first time this season he's gone the opposite of the Blue Jays.
You know what that means?
Go with the Blue Jays.
Hammer the Blue Jays.
No, we can't do that to Barney.
No, he's in the parlay, so yeah. I do like the Blue Jays. I don't think they're going to get swept. We'll talk about it more. Sean McCormick's going to be joining us in a few minutes. And, of course, Sara Poraria will be joining us later on in the show to talk the Women's World Cup, a shocker for New Zealand, and an injury update as well to, quite frankly, the best women's player in the world. And we'll get all that from Sara a little bit later. But Sean McCormick, he'll be right here beside me after this. All right, welcome back to Bet99's The Parley Show. Rob Conway, Albert Vartanian joining us now, as he always does when we're going to talk Major League Baseball, is Sean McCormick. Sean, how are you today, my man?
I'm doing good, man. Lots going on. It's a whirlwind of a day here.
Whirlwind.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's a whirlwind.
Whirlwind.
Behind the scenes, in front of the camera, behind the camera, there's lots going on here at Parleh Studios.
Did you bet your Padres last night?
Oh, I hammered the Padres.
No, yeah, this guy doesn't take his own advice. You've been big on the Padres, and they're getting it done.
Yeah, and we liked the under as well yesterday.
The under was a good play.
Frustrating.
Darvish looked good.
So did Barrios.
We might get into it.
He was out of that inning. If Bichette can throw a ball over to Chapman, that was like when you were a kid playing running bases. You remember playing that?
You didn't want to hit him with the ball.
I could have executed that play.
You know what? Bichette's been pretty solid this year defensively. He's gotten a lot better.
But not yesterday in the one
not a
key
great
moment
throw.
where it cost
But
him.
I don't understand. And I talked about this the other day. It was the second game? Was the second or first game of the Angels and the Yankees? Where instead of walking Ohtani, they pitched him, he hit a bomb?
The first game, I believe.
Yeah, the first game.
Yeah.
Okay, and the second game, the third game yesterday, they ended up walking Ohtani 4 times. One intentional walk. But in that same inning that we're talking about, where Bichette threw the ball, didn't throw it away, but off the line, they had a chance to pitch to Soto with 2 on, but instead they walked Soto, and they walked Soto to get to Manny Machado with the bases loaded, broken bat single, 2 runs come in. I just don't understand how I know it's like pick your poison, but how do you walk Soto to pitch to literally the hottest batter in the major leagues with the bases loaded? I don't understand the logic behind that decision.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't want to pitch to him, so they
He's been having really good at bats, but you're right. It is pick your poison, but that's why you have a lineup where you have protection for Juan Soto or Machado, right? So like you basically have to be able to
pitch to Soto.
Okay, that's fine too. I wouldn't have had a problem
Coming
with
into that game, Machado.
I don't think you
9 home runs, 19 RBIs in July. Why are you pitching to him with the bases loaded? I mean, this is a small blip in this entire season, but it's just some of the things sometimes I see from John Schneider I question.
I mean, he's a new manager, so he's going to do some
I know
things
he's still
that
learning
make
on
you
the job, but
question
come on,
yourself.
dude. You got to be better there.
I mean,
you got to trust your guy.
How long has Boone been doing it? He still can't figure it out.
He's doing everything backwards, but you got to trust Barrios in that spot. He's been good enough to earn that trust to go at Juan Soto.
Well, he gave him 3 pitches, and it was 3-0, and then they threw up the 4-something.
Yeah.
So maybe they did give it to him. Pitch around him, be selective with where your location is. None of the pitches were close. But It wasn't like they intentionally walked him from the jump. They did give him a couple.
You still have a chance to come back in the count, based on the way Barrios is pitching. One of the best pitchers this season.
I'm not saying, like, look, I'm not against. I would have been fine with him pitching to Soto. I was fine with him walking to get to Machado. But, I mean, it's just, you have to make that decision in game. And I agree with you at that point in the game, too. Walking him was odd. Wasn't late.
No.
You know?
And again, like, that's not the reason they lost the game. I mean, when you leave 100 runners on the base, as the Jays seem to always do right now, you're going to lose more games than you win. Yeah. Sean, can you make sense of why they can't cash these guys in?
No.
It's been happening all season.
I mean, yeah, they led the game off with a 2-on, no out, right?
Yeah.
And then they had that scenario later in the game as well. It's a head scratcher for me. They're batting about 244 with runners in scoring position this season, and that's 24th in the majors, and they're batting about 260 as a team this year. So I don't know why they significantly just can't. They bat worse when there's people on base.
So strange.
It's what, like, they're trying to force something. Maybe that's what they're trying to do. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't think there's anything that you can really, like, take away from it. But I mean, you'd think it would sort of regress to the mean, but it hasn't so far this year, and it's been a problem, and hopefully they can get it sorted and get it fixed.
Well, we're live here on Sports Grid. So the Jays are about, quick math, 50 minutes away from first pitch.
It's great
so,
math.
So it's a day game, trying to avoid the sweep. They're the Dogs. I mean, look, I lost it yesterday when they were the Dogs, and here they are again with Chris Bassett on the mound, and he's a solid pitcher, but the over-under's 9. What are you looking at?
I'm going to continue to look at the total in this series. I mean, the Jays aren't putting up runs.
Who's pitching? Snell, right?
Snell against Bassett, yeah. So 17 scoreless innings for the Jays. That's just not good enough, and which we'll get into a bit later. And again, I think that's why they need a bat. Yeah, I'm looking at the total here. 9, I think, is too much, and I'm looking at the under with a slight lean to Barney and the Padres. I think Blake Snell, similar to what you, Darvish, did yesterday, he's going to keep these Blue Jays bats off kilter a little bit, throw them some sliders, which they can't seem to hit, throw them some changeups. They can keep the fastball away from a Jays team that can hit the fastball really well, and that's why I don't expect a lot of runs. I think Bassett will do his part. I think Snell will just do just a little bit better, and then you expect a nice low scoring game again.
Yeah, I mean, the Jays have these weird breakout games, and this could be one of them. I'm not saying it is. When was it? When they blew out a team? I can't remember who it was. Was it the White Sox? Yeah, they blew in the first game, and then got shut out.
Yeah.
In the second game.
Yeah. But I mean, they've been better lately, aside from the last.
That's
few
my
games.
Mom used to say, "Save some runs for the next game." I go, that's not how it works.
They completely blank. Yeah.
Yeah, similar to what they put up 21 earlier in the year, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know what the magic formula is here to get them going, but they got to find something here to get back on track, because they're losing ground in the wild card, and they're losing ground in the AL East now that the Orioles are now tied with the Rays, right, Albert?
Big series.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, luckily, the teams behind them aren't, I mean, the Yankees, I don't know what's going on with the Yankees, swept by the Angels. So
they wanted to really show Shohei Ohtani how good their team was.
Yeah, exactly. 2.5 up on Boston, 3.5 up on the Angels, on the Yankees, and 4.5 up on the Angels. So they have a bit of a cushion, but last night would have been a great spot to win based on what happened.
Still lots of roads.
There's
left.
lots to go, and we'll get to it too.
I think it's actually, as much as for what I do for a living, which is talk on this show, I would love to see Ohtani get traded. Him staying in LA is probably the best if you're a Jays fan, because they ain't making the playoffs, which means you don't have to deal with him in New York or in Baltimore or anywhere else. And even if it's to the NL, then, or if it's to Seattle, whatever, you don't have to deal with them, because I'm sorry, but the Angels are not making the playoffs.
I'm not so sure.
Who are they passing?
They just swept the Yankees. They're a game back of the Yankees. Do you think the Yankees have a chance of making the wild card, being 3.5 back?
No.
You don't think the Yankees have a chance of making the wild card?
I don't think their team's
even with
good
their
enough.
pitching and Judge coming back.
I don't think they're good enough. Their pitching is Rodon last night. He came back. Like, if they make big additions, they have a chance. There's no doubt. They add Shohei Ohtani.
What if the Angels go and make a couple additions? And the Angels still got to play. They got a 3-game set coming up soon against the Jays.
Next weekend.
What if they sweep the Jays?
Hottest ticket in town. What if they get traded before he comes to Toronto?
A sweep of a series, they're right in it. So I'm not going to discount them. I've been on the Ohtani trade train, but after this past series, it's like
the
Yankees kept the Angels alive.
You can't play the Yankees every weekend, unfortunately, for the LA Angels, because they also lost to Colorado in their last series too. They've been terrible. All right, quickly, Ross Atkins had some availability yesterday. Mentioned a couple of things that they were looking for, prioritizing a right-handed bat, talking about how he believed in his guys, but also perhaps getting some starting pitching. Do you think there's anything on the way?
I mean, like we've been talking about, they're going to have to do something. I mean, if you want to push yourself over the hump, you have to bring in an arm and a bat. I think you have to address both concerns. My priority would be a right-handed bat, and then next in line would be a starting pitcher, and then further down the list, it's a reliever. But as we saw yesterday, the Orioles are already starting to make some moves. So it's like you said on the show yesterday too. I mean, it's better to do it sooner rather than later because people are going to start moving, and you don't want to be the last one going like, oh, I wanted to do that, and it's too late, right?
Well, Atkins did say it in his media availability yesterday that he goes, most of the action obviously does happen before the deadline.
Yeah.
He mentioned right-handed bat and a reliever. He also said, he doesn't want to subtract from the roster right now, but if there's a deal that makes sense, then he'll definitely consider it. So it's pretty transparent, I thought, from Ross Atkins saying, listen, we need to make some moves. We got to do some things. And if we got to send out a guy to bring in someone better, then that's what we'll do. I mean, if you're a Jays fan, I think that's what you want to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's not going to go out there and say, we're in panic mode and we don't believe in the guys, and Dalton Varsho was a huge mistake and Alek Manoah's trash. Like, he's got to say that. But he also
is not a mistake.
He's well, he is so far. There's absolutely no question about that.
He's the best.
We don't have enough time to argue about it.
He's literally the best.
We can talk about it on the other side. We'll save it. We'll save it for the other side of the break.
Bobby.
But I want to say that you said the Orioles have made a move. Do you know what his ERA is, Fujinami?
8.57.
It's been rough, yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, we'll talk about that after the break, too. I got some underlying numbers for you. Yeah, I've got some numbers, man.
Hey, remember last time you brought up underlying numbers?
All right. We'll talk about the big acquisition of Fujinami to the Orioles, as well as why Dalton Varsho should be the secret MVP of the Toronto Blue Jays. Coming up after this with Sean McCormick on The Parleh Show. All right, welcome back to The Parleh Show, brought to you by Bet99. Rob Conway, Albert Vartanian, and Sean McCormick. And at the end of the last break, we were getting after it based on how good Dalton Varsho is and how much of a help Shintaro Fujinami would be for the Baltimore Orioles. As you said, the Orioles were the first team to make a splash. I was going to say big move, but you didn't say big move.
I didn't. I barely said splash.
They made a move.
Yeah. But I have to oversell it a bit,
right.
Because I'm trying to get under skin.
I do think it's a good move.
Why? Okay, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Okay. So, no, I just think that you look at the whole season as a whole, and it's not been good for Fujinami.
I know. I just want to, as a precursor to this, I had him on my fantasy team. So go ahead.
Oh, you're AL only.
Yes, that's team. Right.
Yeah, he can come in as a starter or a reliever. He's a spot guy. Can pitch a few innings for you if you need be, but over since June 1st, I believe his ERA is around 4, which is cut in half from the.
Actually, it's a cut in a third from where he was for a long time while he was on my roster. But anyway,
you know what I mean?
Two-thirds.
So, and then Sara says that his stuff plus, which again is a big metric. It takes into account horizontal movement, velocity, vertical movement on your pitches. So basically, how good your stuff is, and. Your guy, Felix Bautista, has a 122 stuff plus and a 97 location plus, so that's how good you locate the ball. Well, Fujinami has a 118 stuff plus and a 97 location plus. So when he's on, he can be pretty much elite. I mean, but he's been hit hard this year, but that was at the beginning of the year. He was giving up 2-3 runs every start. He's only given up 2 runs in his last 9 appearances, which is pretty good. And yeah, it's just, I think, a move that goes under the radar that people aren't really looking at, and a player that you didn't have to give up very much for that can help you win. I mean, I believe he throws 100. He's just a good reliever that you could probably mold and work into somebody that can help you win. And so for me, I think it's a good move that they did this, and it's something that won't cost you a lot. Whereas if you look at some bigger names and some bigger relievers and bigger starting pitchers, you're gonna have to give up more. So to give somebody who is a bit underachieving in Oakland and who's been showing signs of improvement, I think it's a good move.
Low risk, right? Low risk move.
Low risk.
That can work out. I mean, obviously you have.
He does throw 102.
So did he sell it to you?
No.
Are you sold?
No. Yeah, no, I get what he's saying. And he does throw 102. And that's one thing the Jays don't have are relievers that throw over 100. And I think that's key. And the Orioles have had that in 3 or 4 guys for the last couple of years, including Bautista, who's now their closer. Dalton Varsho, we're talking about what the Jays need, and it's hitting lefties. And I was listening on the way in, and Ben Nicholson-Smith, the reporter here in Toronto, was saying that an easy trade to wrap up the whole deadline. This is all the Jays need. David Robertson and Tommy Pham from the Mets. Not bad. It's not a bad idea, but you think Dalton Varsho's fine?
No, I mean, Tommy Pham has been having a career resurgence. I think he was dealing with some injuries the past couple of years, and he's hitting the ball really, really well right now. David Robertson, a proven closer in the past for the Yankees, for the White Sox, now for the Mets. I don't know what his numbers are off the top of my head this year, but
he's been good.
2 guys that would definitely help your team. I'm not saying that Dalton Varsho has had a great year. I'm not saying that. What I was saying is I'm not disappointed to have Dalton Varsho on this team. Dalton Varsho is one of the best defensive outfilders in the game, and he's saving you a lot of runs out there say somebody like a Lourdes Gurriel, who has a better bat this year and has been hitting again, as a full season, has been hitting better. But if you look at his numbers lately, he's batting around 198 over the last couple months as well. So those people who are pining for Lourdes Gurriel instead of Dalton Varsho, I think that would be incorrect. And if you look at Varsho's numbers right now, they're like on the trend to what he did last year. You know what I mean? It's just short of that. His average will be a little worse, maybe a couple less home runs, but counting wise, like, he's just about going to hit what he sort of did last year with a little dip in his average. And if you were excited to have
240 hitter, right? I mean,
that's what he was last year. Yeah. But I mean, he hit 27 home runs or something like that last year. Right now, he's got 12, I believe. So if you were excited to have him on the team at the beginning of the year, yes, he hasn't really wowed you, but he's not living up to what I think. You look at the end of the year, you're like that was all right.
Yeah.
So again, I think you give up the offense for a bit of defense, and again, the Jays have the best defensive outfield in the majors.
I don't care who they add. If Vladdy and Chapman aren't cashing in runs, then this team's dead.
Yeah, we said it last week.
Unless you make some sort of subtraction where you take one of those guys out of the lineup, which is not going to happen.
No.
But those guys got to start cashing in runs. You can bring in whoever you want. It won't matter.
Bellinger? That would be nice.
No, it's a great bat to have. What do you give up for a guy like that, though?
You're going to have to give up probably Aurelvis Martinez. Probably.
Yeah. I wouldn't do that either. That's a bit steep, but I mean, again, Bellinger's been injured a bit this year, so maybe you get a bit of a discount. He's back right now. He's probably hitting the best he's hit this year. A proven guy, but I mean, former MVP, but the year before that or the year after that, he went down the crapper, for lack of a better term, and hasn't hit very well. So now he's sort of had an up and down season, and I think it would be a good addition, somebody with power. That the Jays need a power bat. They haven't hit very well for power this year, and I think that would be a good addition for the team. He'd be somebody high up on my list to get. I wouldn't be willing to ship off an Aurelvis Martinez for him. I don't know who you ship off.
Yeah,
again,
you have to ship somebody.
The more that time goes on, I do think it's very possible that the Jays say goodbye to Matt Chapman at the deadline. But I'm not saying it's going to happen. But as the days pass, I just get more and more convinced that could be a play because what Atkins said yesterday.
It should be interesting. We got, 10 days until the deadline. Ohtani, of course, is out there. Big name. Stroman's pitching tonight. He's got a bit of a showcase game. Not showcase. He's already proven that he's having a great season, but another opportunity for him. The Cubs will be cheering for him to have 6-7 shutout innings just to get another piece in a deal whenever they decide to move on, if they decide to move on from him, which I'm sure they will. So it'll be interesting. But let's head over to the NFL. And we've been following kind of ESPN releasing their lists of players, and we're connecting that into some odds that are on Bet99 right now. And we'll head to the wide receiver section. They had their top 10. No question about, I think, who's number one. Maybe not as obvious as Patrick Mahomes was at quarterback, but getting close in Justin Jefferson. He is, I think ahead above everybody else right now. Unbelievable wide receiver. He's number one. After that, spot on the list,
Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams, which of course is losing Carr.
Yeah.
Getting Garoppolo in. But nonetheless, then you have Jamar Chase, and then you have Tyreek Hill.
So,
what do you
Cooper Kupp
think about in the top 3, 4? I mean, let's forget about 1 for now and go through 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson, fantastic. Nothing bad to say about him. I mean, you've lost Adam Thielen there, which definitely will help with the target share. You'll get
Is he retired or where did
targets.
he go?
He's in Carolina now.
Oh, okay.
He signed a too big of a deal for what he is now as an aging receiver.
He was unreal.
But he'll still get about 700 yards this year. Jefferson very well could lead the NFL in receiving yards. They also lost Dalvin Cook, so now they have to rely on Alexander Mattison as their running back,
right?
Who historically hasn't caught as many passes as Dalvin Cook would, and hasn't had the track record that Dalvin Cook had. So there's a lot more targets to go around in Minnesota now, and I do think they're going to throw more because they have a less reliable running back in Madison. So that could lead to more targets and more yards for Jefferson. He could reach 2K. I could see a couple of these receivers reaching 2,000 yards this year. But
Tyreek Hill called this shot.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill's plus 1,000. Justin Jefferson is the favorite for most receiving yards, plus 560. If you're looking at the list and you're trying to make a direct, conclusion with the odds, Devontae Adams is the 5th on the list, plus 1,600 behind Kupp, Hill, Chase, and Jefferson, yet number 2 on ESPN's list, Albert.
I'd rearrange that. I'd probably have Jamar Chase 2.
Me too.
I'd have probably Cooper Kupp 3, and then Tyreek Hill.
Who's throwing a Kupp? Stafford?
Yeah, it's still Stafford, and both of them dealt with injuries.
Kupp's a machine. His yards after the catch, he's unbelievable.
He is.
Dude.
When he's on, he's like he was
Super Bowl MVP?
Super Bowl year. He was the best receiver in the league. There's no doubt.
And he was on a great pace last season. Finished with 812 yards, 6 touchdowns, and then they both Stafford and Kupp got injured. That team should be pretty bad this year again. They're dealing with a lot of problems on the defensive end. They don't have a lot of corners and linebackers and depth because they basically sold their team to go all in and win a Super Bowl, and they did. And now they're paying the price for it. I think they're going to struggle a bit to win games. I think the offense should be okay. They still have some good players there. But, Cooper Kupp, I could see him getting there because, again, fantastic receiver, route runner. The way he memorizes what he does, similar to Sean McVay, I think is crazy. I don't have that kind of mental capacity. I don't know what you guys think of my mental capacity, but that's time for another day.
What about Garrett Wilson? Ellie, can you put up that board one more time, please? Is Garrett Wilson on the top 10?
No, he's not.
Garrett Wilson's on the top 10.
So 22-1, and you got A-Rod coming in.
Yeah. Plus 2,200 for Wilson.
I don't know if he's going to be the guy to surpass, like a Justin Jefferson, a Chase, or a Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
But you think by the end of the season, he's in the top 5 in terms of receiving yards?
He definitely could be.
Like that, I know it's a long shot, but I mean, you're getting an elite quarterback.
So what I do like there is that the Jets veterans have already reported training camp. They're the only team, I believe, that's done that in the NFL. So that means that Aaron Rodgers is now working with everybody. Everybody's there, Lazard and Wilson. So that's definitely helpful for that. It's just similar to why Devonta Adams is a bit down the list. You're dealing with a new quarterback. You're dealing with a new system. For the Raiders, it's Jimmy G coming over from San Francisco and playing for Las Vegas now. And what kind of rapport are they going to have? So also you have Rodgers, who's more familiar with Lazard. Maybe
True.
You have that chemistry there, and that's why you're not sure about how good Garrett Wilson's going to be. I think he's a hell of a talent. I think he could do well and get maybe crack the top 5, but I'm not convinced that he'll get quite
should
there.
Should be interesting. Couple other names: Chris Olave plus 2,800, Calvin Ridley making a return as well, plus 3,400, and Travis Kelce, who's not a wide receiver, is also on the list at plus 2,500. All right, we'll be back with Sara Poraria to talk about the Women's World Cup after this, and thank you very much, Sean, for joining us. All right, welcome back to the Parleh Show, brought to you by Bet99. Rob Conway in studio, and we are joined now by one Sara Poraria. That's Albert Vartanian, by the way, over here on my far
That's me,
left.
yeah.
And Sara, Women's World Cup kicked off last night, obviously ahead of an incident in New
You
Zealand.
weren't watching it, Bob?
I was asleep.
What are you doing, man?
I'm sorry, I was sleeping. But there was an incident in New Zealand, shooting there, kind of get off to a little murky start, and then had nothing to do with the World Cup, but it was a big deal in New Zealand.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either, actually.
You didn't hear about this?
No.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, all the teams reported in saying they were fine, and it was unrelated to soccer, but it was kind of taking over the news. Non-soccer, like if you're watching CNN or whatever, it was kind of talking about this before the World Cup, this happening. Anyway, it was unrelated to that, and then an amazing, it was inspirational performance from New Zealand to be able to get the full 3 points, get the win, opening up, and a big underdog against Norway.
+650.
And now bumped up to favorites to win the group at +109, Norway +200 right now. But anyways, Sam Kerr, and of course then I didn't know this. I thought maybe this was information people had, but it was a surprise that she didn't get to start with Australia due to injury. So lots of news on day one.
So much to break down.
I know. And by the way, Canada plays tonight, but let's start with your thoughts on the first two games.
Yeah, I mean, listen, New Zealand came out with vengeance. They lost one of their international friendly games before the tournament started 3-0 to Nigeria. So they're not looking good going into the tournament, and then they come out and they win against Norway, one of the top 10 teams in the world. And the scenes afterwards, all the players just running onto the pitch, tears literally had, because they're in front of their home fans too. Like, this means so much to them, and like, this is why we love the World Cup. It's moments like this. We see one of the hosts winning in front of their fans. It's really beautiful to see. Norway have a lot to do now. I think they're still going to get out of the group, but really, really good start. And as for Australia, Sam Kerr, big miss. Also for the fans, because we want to see her.
Yeah.
But they got the job done against Ireland. Now they won't have her against Nigeria, but she'll be back for Canada. Not great for the Canadians here. But, they got one game done without her, so that's what's important for them. And now they're going to be looking ahead to Nigeria.
Yeah.
Being able to win the opener without her is huge.
Yeah.
They're going to assess her, I think, after 2 matches. But, I mean, there's a chance you can end up playing against Canada.
Yeah.
I think if it were not to go well, maybe, and they needed the victory, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? But if they already have 6 points, maybe they don't.
Yeah, they're through. So, I mean, we were talking about yesterday, just on top scorers, and Sam Kerr was one that, near the top of your list. If, let's say, she misses the group stage completely, heading to knockouts, do you think she can still have a shot at finishing as the top scorer? I know it's a stretch going into knockouts, because goals will probably be limited.
That's the thing. I feel like never say never, but the group stage is where we get all the goals, I find.
Yeah, usually. Yeah.
So I think if she does miss the group stage and Australia still advance, I'd say it's slim to none that she'll probably win it. And at that point, like, who knows what Alex Morgan will have done for the US.
+440 for Alex Morgan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of it too, you said in the group stage, right? Because there's always seemingly a game that's 6-0, 7-0, and if someone happens to get on the end of 3 or 4 of those, it's tough to come back from.
Yeah, and that could be tonight's game, 3 a.m. Canadian time, Costa Rica and Spain.
Yeah.
We could see a thrashing, I think. This is one of the biggest gaps between two teams, I think.
Okay.
Spain are minus 10,000.
Yeah,
to
minus
win.
10K to win this game.
You got 10K to win 100 there, Albert?
The total 4.5. Over is minus 150.
Do you happen to have both teams to score?
Oh, it's probably going to be similar to...
Yeah, minus 10,000. Because, Costa Rica's not going to find it.
No, both teams to score is actually plus 220 because Costa Rica obviously unlikely to score.
But Yeah, that's right. I mean, so yes would be plus 220. I don't think they're going to find the back of the net, but anyway.
No, I don't think so.
I mean, that's going to be fun, and that's, going to be exciting for you, of course, cheering for Spain. But Canada is playing tonight, 10:30 Eastern. What are you looking forward to the most here? Canada is not getting any respect for being the current Olympic champions, in my opinion. If you look at their odds, I think going in the tournament plus 2,900, plus 200 to win their group. I know they're in there with Australia, and Australia has now the 3 points, but they're missing, a key piece. But this is still a team that got it done in tournament football at the highest level just a couple years ago. Why is it that they, other than, of course, we know the off-the-field stuff, but, I mean, on the pitch, they're just as good?
I think a lot of people dismiss the Olympics, but I think that comes down to every sport. It's not looked at as like a professional tournament, so I think that's number one. Number two is that Canada hasn't really performed well in a World Cup setting. Even though the women have been dominant for 20 years, whether it's, things like the Olympics or making a run in the World Cup or CONCACAF tournaments, but they haven't actually really made a solid run in the World Cup, like semis, let's say. So I think because of that, they're kind of dismissed by, the public. But we're talking about a really talented squad here. I mean, Christine Sinclair is attending her 6th World Cup. Like,
wow.
That is insane. I was actually watching, they did like a little montage for her on TSN, and they had all the girls talking about Sinky and what she means to the team, and they were saying how important would it be to win it. Because you're kind of winning it not just for Canada, but for Christine Sinclair, like Argentina with Messi.
Yeah.
I'm literally sitting there like,
Bawling
I'm
your
not
eyes out?
crying. Yeah, no, I mean, it is one of those things. Like, she is such a massive talent. I think that is probably what I'm looking forward to the most. Obviously, seeing Canada get into action, but how can we not be excited to see Christine Sinclair heading into her 6th World Cup, age of 40? I can't wait to see what she does on the pitch.
It's a legacy tournament for her. She already has the most goals and the Olympic gold, but I mean, for Canada, like you said, never really to perform at a high level yet in the World Cup, even if it's a run to the semis.
Yeah.
Just to
That's
and
huge.
her to score a couple goals. I think that would just show, being I'm sure her last, would just where it's really taken to over those 6 World Cups, what she's done to the game in Canada. We already know what it is, but it would really just cement it on the world stage.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, imagine if she also won the Golden Boot. Like, imagine she just gets up there scoring like 6 goals or like.
Well, she's starting every game. She has a pretty legit shot. Plus 150 to score tonight.
Yeah.
So they're taking on Nigeria.
Yeah.
Nigeria has the longest odds to get out of that group. Canada heavily favored. Do you expect it to go the way that the book thinks it's going to go?
I think so. Yeah, let's. I think Canada knows it's going to get more and more difficult as the group stage progresses. Obviously, facing Australia last, so they got to win this game for sure. Like, they have to, without a doubt, because it's only going to get more difficult. And Nigeria, like I said, they didn't have a good qualifying round. They're not looking good. Canada should absolutely, if you're looking at these teams on paper, Canada is the better squad. With no offense to Nigeria, they're in a World Cup that is amazing for them, but it's Canada. They're one of the best female nations for football.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's good. Look, it's not necessarily going to be a close match, but like you said, it is the World Cup, and this, we saw obviously a surprise in New Zealand, a little bit different, the home field advantage and all that stuff. But when it comes to some of the other teams that are at the top, we have obviously the favorites to win, as they normally are. USA at plus 230, Spain plus 420, England plus 440, Germany plus 720, and then the host Aussies at plus 900. Assuming you're not going to say Spain, who do you think is going to win the Women's World Cup if we were picking a futures right now?
How can I not say the United States?
Yeah,
It
right?
is so hard to go against this team. They are such a quality side, and they've done it 2 times before. They're looking to do it number 3 in a row, which is crazy. But we have to look at this team as not only the talent, but I think Justin was talking about this yesterday. Just the fact that how much money gets put into their system. Like, it's really great because hopefully eventually all other football nations will do the same for their women's football team, but they have so much going into and the funding, and it's just such a great community, I feel like, for women's football there, that like they really have everything, and it just gives them such an advantage to when you see teams like, I don't know, Nigeria, let's say. So, yeah, it's hard not to say the U.S. And this is also the last World Cup for Megan Rapinoe, too. She wants to go out with a bang, potentially Alex Morgan. So, I don't know.
It's just, no, I'm with you, but the number's just so short, plus 230. I wonder if the play
I actually thought it'd be shorter than that, to be
I
honest
wonder
with
if the
you.
play is
Crazy.
hope
Yeah.
that they lose tomorrow, and then you get a boost in the odds. Probably not a huge
For
boost.
Vietnam.
I'm just saying. Probably not going to
Can you
happen.
imagine?
But
What
plus
a way to
230 is
start the
too
World
short.
Cup.
I think England at plus 440, we talked about it yesterday.
That's a great show.
Germany plus 700.
Hey, where's France?
France, okay, Australia plus 900, according to the Bet99 Sportsbook.
I love
France
how-
is 11 to
I
1.
love how Albert says if USA goes out and loses to Vietnam, then he's going to go all in.
No, I never said
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I said if
Go
you
for
want
no.
bigger odds, if there's somehow
Yeah.
an insane upset, then you
Yeah.
go that way. But
No, I hear you.
Listen, we saw New Zealand beat Norway today. I also find the first round of games are always a little bizarre because, I mean,
Always.
look, Saudi Arabia and Argentina, like,
Yeah.
everyone's kind of getting their bearings still. It's so nerve-wracking. Some of these girls, first time at the tournament, it's such a big stage. So I find the first round, it's a bit tricky because I looked at Australia. I was watching the highlights from today's match against Ireland. Ireland had several chances. That game could have been a tie easily.
Yeah.
And Australia, obviously without Sam Kerr, but looking a little shaky at times too.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm not going to judge them based on the first initial game.
So you're telling me is to
fair.
bet Vietnam at plus 20,000.
Let's go.
20,000?
Can you imagine?
Sprinkle.
A
A little
little.
sprinkle. Bill
Plus
Sparkle. I don't think so.
20,000.
Also wanted to talk about, you were with Stevie Z. Stevie Z 103 at the Post Malone concert last night. So Bet99 and the Parleh, we were at Live Nation events all summer long. A lot of them at Bud Stage. You were at Post Malone. We have a video we're going to show in a second, but before we get to that, what were your thoughts there? You've been to a couple now. What was the vibe like? What was the atmosphere like being there with Post Malone, who's, by the way, is playing again tonight?
Yeah, immaculate vibes. Like, nothing against Charlie Puth, but that was the first concert I went to at Budweiser Stage, and then we just arrived, and it was a beautiful summer night. Everyone's having a good time. Posty, fantastic live singing, playing the guitar. What a performance. Like, he was so good and engaging, and we were just hanging out on the lawn. Like, it was so relaxed, but such a good time. And yeah, Bet99 had the games running, people loving it. Everyone's walking around with their fast shades.
Yeah.
Love.
All right, let's take a look at the video down last night at Post Malone at Budweiser Stage.
When did you see Posty last?
When he was at Scotiabank Arena, and actually when he was on Known Artist at Veld.
Oh wow, you saw him at Veld? Excited?
Yeah, I'm very much excited. Thank you so much.
I got to get down to one of these.
I got to get a pair of those shades.
Yeah.
I want a Bet99 hockey jersey and a pair of those shades. Can you make that happen for me? Somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
they
100%.
can.
A bucket hat, too. I mean, what? Yeah,
You need a bucket?
I can't wear mine. I look stupid in those. But yeah, so it was a good time. Then after you guys did all that, you enjoyed the show, though. So, like, is Post Malone... See, look, I go to concerts a lot of times and I don't know the artist or I don't know them very well. But I walk out there going, wow, that was a great performance. And sometimes you walk out going, wasn't great. Like Noel Gallagher, who I love, wasn't exactly the greatest
Right.
performance
Sure.
of all time. If I didn't know anything about Post Malone, just watching, impressed?
So impressed.
Yeah.
So impressed. I was telling you off air, it's one of those concerts where I went to where I didn't realize I'd know like so many more songs than I thought I would. He's just been around for ages now. That he has like so many tracks that you're like, oh, I know this one too. And we were standing the whole time, obviously on the lawn. Everyone's initially sitting, but Posty comes on and you're standing, and I was like, oh, I'm so tired. But then I was like, no, having the best time dancing the
energy.
whole time. Yeah, like he kept us there, and like such a good performer. He's so talented.
Did
like,
did he do White Iverson?
Yeah.
Oh, he did, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And
Great
honestly,
tune.
like, I just, great.
Whatever.
Great. I have a newfound respect for Post Malone. Like, I knew he was talented, way more talented than I thought.
That's what happened to me when I saw The Weeknd for the first time.
No, I would cry. I would cry if I saw The Weeknd, I think.
So I saw him at what's the one with the iHeartRadio?
Yeah.
And he was the closer, and I was like, okay, I've heard of The Weeknd. This was like 7-8 years ago, but I was
Okay.
like, this guy's, they had a live band, he crushed it, and that's
yeah.
another thing. I didn't know a lot of his songs, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'd watch this guy anytime. Unbelievable. I'm glad you had a good time at Post Malone. Bet99 will be at Bud Stage all summer long. Should be a lot of fun. Coming up next, I think it's 50 Cent or Snoop.
Yeah, Snoop is next Wednesday, 50's the Monday after. I'll be at both.
All right, looking forward to it, Sarah. You're sticking with us. We'll be back after this on the Parleh Show. Time to wrap the show here on Thursday. The Parleh Show brought to you by Bet99. Rob Conway, Albert Vartanian, and Sara Poraria. And we're going to find out, as we always do at the end of the show, what's going on at the book.
Sorry, Allie. The breathing. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
What's going on in the book? All right. Well, we got the Jays tonight against the Padres. You don't think the Padres are a good team? I saw your spiel yesterday.
Yes,
on the
they are not a
show.
good team, but apparently we're riding them on the Parleh a little bit later. That is a teaser. Go ahead.
They are minus 110 with the Jays at plus 109. Chris Bassett pitching for the Jays.
Beautiful.
We got Canada in action tonight, guys.
Okay.
Women's World Cup, biggest match. It's the opener. Canada minus 250 against Nigeria plus 750. This is really exciting, guys. Women's first game.
I know.
Get into
I'm
it.
very excited too for the World Cup. It's 10:30. I'll be able to watch it. I'm glad it's not at 3 a.m. There's probably a 3 a.m. mixed in there
Yeah,
somewhere,
well,
right?
3 a.m. is Spain and Costa Rica. Spain minus 10,000 in that game.
Okay.
Nuts.
Parleh. Sarah, you're in the Parleh today. We
Yep.
have something for Team Canada. What do you got?
Yeah, I got Canada to win and no to both teams to score. 4 out of the last 6 games Nigeria played, they got scored on. So I think that Canada will be able to score and keep a clean sheet.
Give me the Orioles, Road Dogs, plus 160.
Plus 160, and now would be the AL East leaders
Yes,
if
sir.
that were to happen. The Blue Jays are for the under, that's for Sean McCormick at plus 100. Barney doing the flip-flop, taking the San Diego Padres at minus 107. And just so I could save the parlay, because this is ridiculous how huge we are, I'm going with minus 210 for the Astros over the Athletics. So we have something in there that's a little bit of a favorite. And if you put those all together, that 5-way parlay, folks, plays plus 22.15.
Love it.
That's not bad.
Let's go. A little sprinkle.
Yeah,
like it, man.
$10 gets you almost 230, and that would be a heck of a weekend for that. All right, so I was just saying before we got into the break that it was Snoop, right? Snoop that's going to be on Wednesday?
Snoop next Wednesday at Budweiser Stage.
You're going to be there?
I'm going to be there. He's my favorite rapper. I love Snoop.
That's going to be fun. There's some amazing shows happening. Arctic Monkeys are a little bit later. Weezer's in town. 50 Cent, I think, is in town. We've had shows before as well. Of course, Morgan Wallen. I think he's still doing his show, right? Or is that it's not canceled, right? Because I know he had a thing with his voice. But anyways, it's going to be a lot of fun down at Budweiser Stage next week. I'm off tomorrow. Albert, you will be taking over. Everyone will be back as well. Thank you very much to Sean McCormick, Sarah as well, and Barney for stopping by on the golf course. Rob Conway here for Bet 99's The Parleh Show. We will see you on Friday.